So first of all, this session is being recorded. I'll try and upload it on YouTube. So by continuing to be part of this call, you consent to being recorded. So your name might be there in the video. So if you don't wish to be recorded, you need to quit right now. This is with respect to GDPR and all. Okay, with that, my name is Basavaraj. I'm an ERPNext consultant. I was part of Frappe for 4 years, but starting from April, now I'm an independent ERPNext consultant. In today's session, we will basically cover multi-currency accounting in ERPNext. This is the first time I'm doing a webinar, as an independent consultant. So I wanted to pick a topic that I was expecting maybe just 10 people will join, but looks like a lot of people are interested in multi-currency accounting. So that's good. Um, so what I'll do is, so initially I prepared a presentation, but then I thought maybe it's better that rather than just me sharing a presentation and talking, I have basically listed down all the points that I think are relevant to multi-currency accounting in a blog. So you can either look at my screen, uh, or this link is already shared in the Google Meet. So you can just click on that and kind of have a look at that as well. So today we'll basically cover multi-currency accounting in ERPNext. This is kind of a advanced or intermediate topic. You need to know a bit of accounting already, but I'll assume that at least some of you are new to accounting, so I'll try to assume as less about what you guys know, and kind of try to cover the basics as well. So first of all, so ERPNext allows you to manage invoicing, payments, journal entries in multi-currency. So if you're running a company, if your customers, your suppliers, your investors are in other country and you receive payments from them or you pay to them, then you need multi-currency accounting. And ERPNext will help you do all of that. So it also has integration with the third-party apps, which will provide the real-time exchange rates, which basically allows you to save some time. With that intro, let's go ahead. So right now I'm in section 1. So why do we need multi-currency accounting? We may want to.
I have a question right away. Does this apply to any version of ERPNext?
Yeah.
I'm asking for version 12.
Yeah, I think version 12 already has multi-currency accounting.
Yes, it has.
13 also.
But maybe some features may have changed, or some ways how to do it may have changed. But
yeah, exactly.
If you say
exactly. So if you scroll down, you will see that I have a note here which says there's an important change related to multi-currency accounting. So I'll come to that in a bit. And also maybe.
Sorry. Does it apply completely to version 12, or maybe not everything?
So until version 13.31.0, anything before that works slightly different way, and with version 13.31.0 it works a different way. Maybe I'll highlight what exactly is the change, and we can also have a look at the release note as well.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. Also, what I will do is probably cover a section and then stop for questions. So you can just wait till I complete one section, if that's possible. Cool. So let's go ahead. So first of all, why do we need multi-currency accounting? So we know we can just Google, how much is one USD in terms of Indian rupees, and kind of just raise an invoice and be done with it. Why can't we do that? So there are a few reasons for that. The first one is we need to process invoice in foreign currency. So as we speak, I have a client in Canada, I have a client in Germany. When I send them an invoice, it would make no sense if I send it to them in INR. So they would like to receive it in the Canadian dollar or the euro. Okay, so we have to be able to raise invoices in different currencies, and also maybe if I have some servers in different countries, they will send me in USD or some other major currency. Uh, we have to be able to maintain bank balances in foreign currencies. This is also another thing. As a freelancer, I have a PayPal account, and the PayPal account has primary currency as USD. So I have to be able to kind of account for that. Then we also have to kind of convert from one currency to another currency. For example, end of the quarter, I want to know how much money do I have, and it won't be good if I say I have 2,000 rupees and then $100. I have to be able to just tell how much I have in terms of one currency or the base currency. So we have to be able to convert those foreign currencies into local currency. Then even if I have $100 in my PayPal account, from time to time the exchange rate is going to change. So I have to be able to keep fine tuning exactly how much is it, so that I can file my taxes, so that I know how much money do I have in terms of INR. And then of course some reports, maybe governments want to know how much money are we earning in different currencies, etc. So these are some of the reasons why we need to be able to do multi-currency accounting. Then point number two, when a company is created, a base currency is assigned to it via the default currency field in company. It is also called as the company currency. So we call it either as a base currency or a company currency. And once we create a company, it cannot be changed. So you have to be very careful, especially when you're setting up a production instance. You have to be able to be very careful and set it properly. It's also called as functional currency. So what I have done parallelly is I just have a Frappe Cloud instance that I will set up now, and we will see how do we set the company currency. So this is the very first screen that you will see. Language is English, that is fine. Now I'll choose India as the country, and this is the field. This is where we are setting the company currency. Be very
sorry. Do you share anything? I only see your face, but no screen share.
Okay. Give me a sec. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, now it's there.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Yes, yes.
So I'm just setting up ERPNext instance on Frappe Cloud. This is the very first screen, and I'm setting the language. This is the country I have chosen here. It allows me to set the currency. So Indian rupee will be the company currency. Click on next. Raj. I'll set some password. Then I'll go ahead and click on next and pick distribution, manufacturing and services. And then I'll click on next. What is the company name? And click something here, and then I'll click on next. Next, right? And then I have a bank name. Now this is the next important thing. So there is chart of accounts, right? So I have a few options here. India chart of accounts, standard with numbers. I'll just click on this view chart of accounts. Now this basically shows if I proceed with this, how will my chart of account look like. So chart of account basically allows us to prepare ledgers or accounts for assets, for liabilities, for expenses, and for income. And each of these ledgers will also have a link to currency. So I'll come to that. Let's go ahead and if I want, I can also choose a different standard chart of accounts so that my ledgers are created accordingly. But for now, I'll go ahead with India chart of accounts. So in
the selection that you get here is based on the country you have chosen, correct?
Correct. Yes.
So if you chose another country, you will have different chart of accounts to select from.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Okay, so we are doing two important things here. One is we have chosen the country, and by default it will populate a currency, make sure that it is correct, and then we are choosing a template for chart of accounts. Now I'll go ahead and click on complete setup. This should take about a minute. So now what it is doing is, we already supplied what is the company currency. It will take that and it will create a lot of different ledgers in the chart of accounts. And for each of the ledgers that it creates, the currency it links will be the company currency. So that's the point you will see here in third section. Each ledger also has a currency assigned to it, and it is called as the account currency. Now, while creating a company, the ledger are created either based on chart of account template. We have just seen that, or if you create a new company in an existing ERP instance, it will allow you to mark it as a child company, and you can basically replicate the entire chart of account based on an existing company. That's this point. So each of these ledgers also have a currency linked to it, and the one which are created at first, all of them will have the company currency, in this case INR, as the ledger currency. So all the different currency ledgers, you will have to create them either manually, or if you're using the chart of account importer, then you need to supply it. So that's the most important thing. So now this is set up. So I'll quickly go to chart of account. So you can already see some balances being shown here. And if I expand this, for example, we'll go to debtors. This is one of the ledger. It was there in the template. It has been created, and now you can see that the currency is INR, because this came from the company currency that we provided in the first, I think the second screen. So all these ledgers are now linked to INR. So the currency of all of these ledgers is now INR. That's the importance of the company currency. Once you set it and the company is created, you can't change it. So you have to be a bit careful. Now, okay, now I'm a company in India, and all my ledgers are in INR. But since I provide consulting services, sometimes I receive payment via PayPal. So what I want to do now is go to bank accounts. I'll click on Add Child, and I'll say PayPal. Okay, and then account type. Even though technically it's not a bank, I want to treat it as bank, so I'm selecting bank here, and this is the field where we supply a currency. We can leave it blank. In that case, it will take INR as the ledger currency. I want it to be set to USD. So this is how we create ledgers which have a different or a foreign currency. So now you will see, okay, PayPal, it is USD. So this is how we create ledgers which have a different currency. Okay, so now what we can also do is, if I'll quickly create a customer, let me call Inc. Just creating a customer now, and here is an important field. In this customer profile or the customer doc type, I have billing currency, and I can set whatever the currency that I want. Since I'll be dealing with Extreme Inc., I've chosen USD as my billing currency. Okay, so we are seeing how a currency is being set in different screens or different objects. We have seen it in company, we have seen it in ledger, now we are seeing it in a customer. The same thing applies to supplier as well. Now, before I proceed, I would like to do one more thing. I want to go to my chart of accounts, and I want to go to my accounts receivable, and I want to create debtors USD. Now, I'll explain this in detail later on, but for now, this is the second ledger that I'm creating in a foreign currency, which is USD. So I'll create that. I'll go back to my customer, just how I have set the currency in the billing currency. I'm going to do one more thing, which is go to accounting and link the US uh, currency ledger. We'll come back to this, what exactly is this, bit later on. Or if you already know a bit of accounting, okay, that's a receivable account. Cool. This can be applied in the customer and the supplier as well. Now, the other thing is the currency precision. How many decimals do we want? So if I go to system settings and I go to date and number format, I'll see a field called as currency precision. Okay. Now, in most cases, two should be enough, two decimals. But if you are into whatever, currency business or fintech or whatever, you may want to kind of set it to more. Uh, I'll set it to 2 for now, and we will see, maybe later on we can change it. So this is another important setting. Um, then there are some transactions. Okay, we have set.
Sorry, questions. Do you really give time for questions, or should we just interrupt you? Like, do now?
Maybe you can just wait till I complete first section, which is like almost the last point
Okay.
now, and then we can maybe take some short questions. Cool. So currency precision in system settings is another important setting that you should be aware of. Now, let's see. So we have set up some master data now. We have set up the company currency. But we have created ledgers in a foreign currency. We have set billing currency in customer, also in supplier. We have looked at currency precision. Now, how does it look like in transaction? So I'll just go ahead and open sales invoice screen. And if I choose a customer, and this is what I created. If I just scroll down, so in all these transactions, if you can already observe, it says fetching exchange rates. So you can see a currency and price list section in all these transactions, whether it is a sales order, delivery note, sales invoice, purchase order. You will see. So that's how we kind of manage the currency. So this is the currency field in the currency and price list section in invoice. You will see the same section in sales order, delivery note, purchase order, and purchase invoice. So till now, what we have done now is we have just seen where do we have currency field in different screens of ERPNext. So that's our section one. Hopefully, I'll be able to upload this video later on. Also, you can come back, read this blog, watch the video. Maybe you will retain a lot of what I'm teaching here. Uh, if you have any specific questions relevant to this and I can answer them quickly, I'll take it now, or we'll proceed with the next section.
Yes, I have some questions. First one is you created an account receivable for the foreign currency.
Correct.
So that's also what you recommend, right? Because you could, I think, technically also, in your case, open an invoice in USD, but still post it to the main currency's account receivable.
So the answer to that question is, if you have an ERPNext instance that is lesser than this, before this, 13 point, 30 point anything, you could do that. You can, as long as you're not linked the Data USD account that I created earlier. Anything before this, you could create invoices in different currencies to the same customer. But now there's a validation. You can also have a look at it in the release note. You can't do that anymore. So now you will have to post all your invoices to a customer in only one currency.
No, I mean, that's not what I meant. I meant that it is possible. You have a customer, USD customer, your main currency is INR, as in your case. You could open an invoice in USD for that USD customer, but still post it to the INR accounts receivable.
No, you can't do that. For example, I have USD here. I'll maybe try to do INR, right? Currency and INR. Okay, well, accounting details. Let me try to save it. I'll just quickly create an item, consulting service, maintain stock. I'll uncheck because it's a service. Well, in fact, what I could do is put the release note. So if you see this account currency validation for first transaction, right? So essentially, what this does is, if you have created a transaction in USD, and the next invoice you try to create it in a different currency, it will basically throw an error saying the document currency and the receivable has to have the same currency. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, okay. Second question is, I just saw there you have currency precision and you have fiat precision. What's the difference? Or does it make any, is it any difference? Or
this one?
How would you use it?
This one?
Oh, sorry, that was float precision. Sorry,
yeah.
I just misread it. Okay.
Yeah. Uh, cool. So let's go to section two. I think I'll still come back to these two fields later on. Cool. So let's go to
I have a doubt, Basuraju. Can I ask now?
yeah. Go ahead. If this is related to section one, yes.
Yeah, it's about opening, invoicing, and currency too.
No,
Opening it up. Can I?
no, not now, not now. Let's go. I
Yeah.
think we're already 20 minutes into it. You can still come back and post your question on the blog. I'll try and answer that. Cool. So section two, currency master. Now what I'll do is I'll go to currency list. This is a doc type in ERPNext. It basically stores some data related to currency. Here I have Indian rupee. What is the fraction? What are the units? What is the smallest currency function value? What is the symbol? And what is the format? So one important thing, if I go to system settings and go to currency precision and I make it 4 here, and then I come back to currency, just refresh it once. Now I'll basically start seeing 4 decimal points there. So basically you have to be very careful with what you set. So as you can see here, this is the, if I set it as 0.0001, I could do it now. Earlier I couldn't do it, it will just round it up to 0.00. So what you set here in the system currency has some impact. So you need to be thoughtful about what you set there. So let me go back and just set it to 2 for now. So there are about 148 standard records that already come with ERPNext. They represent different currencies. You can probably kind of activate or deactivate whatever you don't like. Now, I generally recommend that once you set up an ERPNext instance, whatever you don't use, go ahead and kind of disable them, because they'll keep coming up in various different places. For example, if I go to sales invoice, screen, and pick customer, and I go to currency and try list. So all the active currencies will basically show up here. So you do not want your users to kind of pick an option by mistake. So let us assume that I deal only with INR and USD. I can just go ahead and disable all the other currencies. That will just make life a bit easier. Similarly, if we go ahead and open any report, I'll see there's a currency field here, and you will see all the enabled currencies will show up here. In most cases, it doesn't make any sense. So just have US dollar and Indian rupee here. To do that, I can just go to currency and disable whatever doesn't make sense for me. Um, cool. And then we already seen unit, subunit, number format, and then active currencies are shown in different currencies and different transactions and also reports. So just a bit note on currency master. Now let's go to currency exchange rates. This is an important thing. So like I mentioned, ERPNext will already have some integration with a third-party application. Until version 13.9.2, it has an inbuilt integration with Frankfurter. This is a third-party app that publishes near real-time exchange rates. And from 13.1.0, that has been changed to another service called as exchange rate. Now, if as and when what we go to version 14, you will see that in version 14 it's basically configurable, not in version 13. Let me quickly go to, this is our, I'm switching to another ERPNext instance with version 14. Maybe I can quickly show it to you here. Currency exchange settings. This will come up in version 14. As you can see, we have Frankfurter and exchange rate here. Maybe you can even add your own third-party app. So this will come up in version 14, not in 13. Cool, that's a quick note. Now, either ERPNext can query one of these third-party apps and get the rate. For example, if I go to new sales invoice and pick a customer and go to currency, you will see that ERPNext has automatically populated some exchange rate here. So this is now basically coming from the third party app. Uh, you know, most of the times accountant will choose one of the two methods. They'll say, okay, every time we create an invoice, we want to fetch the real time exchange rate, or for this quarter, for example, here in India, the new financial year starts in April. We'll say April, May, June, the first quarter. We will assume that the exchange rate will be 77.5. And whenever we post transactions in USD, we want ERPNext to consider that, not the real time. So in such cases, what we can do is go to new currency exchange and go to date today, and then I'll just say 75.5. We can say whether it's applicable for buying and selling or one of them. Go ahead and save this. Sorry, ROM should be USD and INR. So as at the moment, you have to do a bit of a workaround. So you basically have to post it for every day. So you can just use the data export and import, and for all the 90 days or whatever the number of days in the quarter, you need to kind of upload this record. So I have done it for today. So now let's go ahead to sales invoice. I'll pick the customer. Date is this. And now ERPNext knows, okay, now I'm going for USD and the base currency is INR and the date is today. So if these three match with the record that we have created, the date, the currency and the base currency, then it will basically fix the exchange rate. So these are the two ways on how you can do it. Either you can create a fixed exchange rate manually and then ERPNext will pick it. If you don't do it, then ERPNext will query one of these services and pick it. For whatever case, if these two fail, let's say we create a currency like Bitcoin or whatever, and it's not being published. In that case, you need to manually provide the exchange rate here. That's about the.
Sorry. So the manual exchange rate will overrule the fetched exchange rate.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Cool. So that's about the currency exchange rates. Let's go to. So now we have seen. Okay, we have set up the.
Sorry. Can I take another question?
Yeah.
I have seen the problem following. I use automatic exchange rate, and I have seen that it picks the exchange rate from the moment you produce the document.
Correct.
Even if the posting date of the document may be lying 3 months prior. Is there any cure to that mistake, or is that just something you have to live with?
So let's do one thing. I'll just go ahead and refresh this. And so what did you say? If you're doing a backdated entry, you're saying
yes.
it picks the current date. The currency.
Yes, it picks the exchange from now and not from 1 month ago. That's what is my impression, at least.
Okay. Let me do something. I don't know this actually, so maybe we can quickly try and test it. I have this now, USD. Let me pick yesterday's date and go to, it is fetching it now. Okay, so now as of yesterday, we have 77.57.
So may I ask one question?
Let me just give me one more minute, okay? And now I'll go ahead and pick May, and it'll fetch again. Okay, so let's see now. Sorry, that was what 5570, and what was earlier was 5736. So I think it is picking as per the date that you actually set it here. I'm not sure who had asked this question. I think you can check it again. It actually goes as per this date.
So maybe that's an enhancement of version 13 over version 12.
Could be.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Sir, let me ask you a question. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, right now you showed that the currency exchange now it is showing that per day that if we need or the third party application will fetch for us, right?
Correct.
But I need to ask that if there is a quarter, as you said, or for a month.
Yeah.
So how can I do that? Or else I'll have to come day by day, or even from 2 days, 3 days. So to fix for a certain period, what should I do?
Okay, so there is no straightforward answer to this. So what I recommend is you basically use data export and import, and in an Excel you change and then you import it so that you just create 90 records, assuming there are 90 days in a quarter. I don't think there's any other way. One of the proposed enhancement is that for any currency exchange record, instead of just having one date, we will have from and to date, so that anything between that range. But that is not implemented yet. I don't know when it will be implemented. At the
So,
moment, you need to supply
so
data.
you are recommending that you use the third party application for the better results, right?
No, all I'm saying is you use data import to record 90 records, one for each day. You know,
Oh,
yeah.
thank you.
I know it's not a very neat way of doing it, but okay, that's what it is. Cool. So I hope we are good with the exchange rates. So now I'll go ahead and
I
do
have
the.
one question here. In the system setting, there is a setting for the exchange rate and named as install exchange rate.
Stale exchange rate. Yes.
Yes, stale.
I don't recommend you use it. I've tried it. I don't understand how it works. I don't recommend that you use it. So the concept is you go to accounting settings, uh, accounts settings. You scroll down to currency exchange settings. You basically enter on maybe for 10 days and then allow stale exchange rates. So if there is a record with any dates in the previous 10 days, I think that's the concept, but I don't recommend that you use it. I don't know how it works.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, cool. So
let me just ask one thing. For a use case whereby, like one like client will be using maybe automatic exchange rate, okay, for transactions, but at the end of the month, they want to fix one exchange rate to override all the. It's like at the end of the month, they want only one exchange rate to be used to evaluate all the transactions. In this case, what needs to be done? Do we fix one fixed exchange rate? Then beginning of the month, we just edit it or what?
yeah, for the whole accounting period, for the month or for the quarter, if you want a specific exchange rate, all you have to do is create currency exchange, one for each day in the quarter. Then ERPNext will just keep using that. Or what you could do is let ERPNext fetch the real time, and end of the quarter you can basically do, we'll come back to it, exchange rate revaluation. So maybe you can just wait for me to finish and then you can come back to your questions. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Cool. So now let's get to the core of this. I think this is a really important concept. What I'll do now is, okay, so before I go to posting an invoice, I'll come back to chart of accounts. So chart of account basically has four sections: assets, liabilities, income, and expenses. Assets is what you own, like cash, like bank balance, etc. Liability is what you owe. Maybe you have a loan, maybe you have received the material you have not paid to your supplier. Income is what you have earned, by doing business or by earning interest on your bank deposits, etc. Expense, again, you have either paid salary or for the material you have paid. Now, in assets, so we have current assets. There is fixed asset, which is your laptops, buildings, furnitures, etc. Then we have current assets. Then there's accounts receivable, and then there are two. So every time you raise an invoice, a receivable account is updated. I won't go into details. Maybe I'll do a webinar on that. But so for every currency that you want to use, you have to have a separate receivable ledger, and you need to, for example, I have created debtors, that means INR, debtors USD. So every time I raise an invoice to a customer who's in US who will be paying me in USD, I'll basically have a ledger here, and I'll also link it in the customer doc type or the customer screen. Similarly, if I also have to raise some invoices in euro, then I need to first create a ledger. I'll do that here. I'll call it as debtors EUR. This is a receivable, and this is basically going to have EUR. I'll create this. Now, if I create a new customer, let's call it as ABC GmbH, and commercial territory, rest of the world. And what I need to do is, in the currency, billing currency, I'll set it to euro, and the most important thing, I'll come back to accounting and link that ledger here. Okay, and save this. This is an important setting. I won't go into details of what is the debtors and etc. But all we know now is, for every currency in which we want to raise invoice, maintain our receivable, maybe have a bank account in that currency, we basically have to have a receivable ledger. Okay, once we do this, now let me go ahead and create a sales invoice. I'll pick a customer. First, let's go with USD. We can see currency and price list. This is USD. As of today, I have a currency exchange record. And then the other important thing is, if I just scroll down in the invoice and I go to accounting details, so you will see that debtors USD is picked. So in this receivable ledger, I have already linked it to USD. I have named it USD as well. The name doesn't matter, but the currency is USD. This and what I have here in the billing currency need to match. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and choose an item. I'll give a rate. I'm not going to taxes for now, just keep it simple. Now I'll go ahead and save it. I'll go ahead and submit this. One quick thing. Okay, let me go ahead and submit this. Okay, so now we have basically raised an invoice. We have raised it in USD, which is a foreign currency, because the company currency is INR. And what I want to show you is, if I copy this invoice, go to GL entry, I'll do a quick thing here, list settings, not list settings, customize. Just to make it a little clear, come back here and refresh this. This is the voucher number. Yeah. So you will see that now we have two entries. So you never create this manually. Every time you submit an accounting transaction, whether it is an invoice or a journal entry or a purchase invoice, these GL entries get recorded in the backend. You can only view them, you can't create them, you can't delete them, you can modify them. So one is for debit, another is for credit. So I'll just open debtors USD. So here in GL entry, we basically have debit amount, and we also have debit amount in account currency. So you will see that when we post an invoice in a foreign currency, the GL entry captures both in the company currency and also in the account currency. This is an important thing. So you will see that whenever we use any, whether it's a journal entry, purchase invoice, sales invoice, if it involves the foreign currency, then the GL entry will capture both the amounts in both the currencies. This is an important thing. Okay, so now we basically have an invoice, and it is in USD. Okay, where were we? Yeah, so this is the thing, you will see it here in this point. Now let's assume that we receive payment. Okay, this is the invoice. We print it, we send it to the customer, we receive the payment. Now there are two things possible here. Either I have a bank account or I have PayPal account where I'm actually maintaining the balance in the same foreign currency, which is USD, or I have a bank account locally, which is INR, and they wire it to that account, and I maintain the balance in INR. These are the two possibilities. Where do I receive that money? Either in the bank account, which is in local currency, INR in my case, or in USD. So what we'll first do is this case. If the payment against is received, a company currency bank account. So what I do is create and payment. Okay. So this is my payment entry screen in the account. So you can see that SBI, which is my bank, it is basically maintained in INR. So here, basically, I can say how much money did we receive. When I raise this invoice, which is in this case it is today, but in real world, I'm raising the invoice today, and maybe I'm receiving the money after 2, 3, or even a month. That day, how much money did I receive? So let's assume that I actually ended up receiving 8,000, because one USD is now worth 80 rupees, right? So I enter that here in the received amount. Just for recording, I'll also enter what was the exchange rate. This is entered manually. Now you will see that actually, as of that day, my income or INR equivalent was 7,550. But today, when I received it in my bank account, it is actually 8,000 rupees. So technically, I have earned some money here. I'm in profit, and you will see that there is this difference account that comes up here. Now I'll go ahead and save this. Now, whenever we see that there is some difference amount, this button will become active. I need to click on that. That will basically set, exchange gain or loss. So basically, I have basically earned some 450 rupees. So let me go ahead and save this. Then I will submit this. So this is one case where I'm receiving amount in my local currency. Okay. If I go ahead and copy this, GL entry, and filter it, you will see that, so this data is now set off. The value should be the same both. So when we submitted the invoice, we saw that there was a GL entry, and the values were 7,550 and 100 US dollar. When we submit the payment entry, exactly the opposite of that, and but the amount should be same. To set that off, so whatever is the difference, that will go into exchange gain or loss. So technically, I earned some money by providing a service. That day I thought I have earned 7,550 rupees, but when I actually received my money, the value had gone up. So I have technically now earned another 450 rupees. This is the first case when I'm receiving money in my local currency account. I'll quickly go ahead and create another invoice, and duplicate this. Everything remains same, and $100.
Are you able to arrange a recording for this session?
I am recording this session actually. I'll try to upload it on YouTube as well.
And how will we get a copy for the same?
Maybe I'll put it in the same blog. I've shared the link already. I'll maybe add a link there. Let me quickly, if you joined late, multi-currency accounting. So everything that I'm talking about now is here point by point on this blog. Let me go ahead. Cool. So we have just replicated, or we have just duplicated the invoice. So I'll go ahead and submit. Nothing is changing. It's just another invoice. Now I'll go ahead and create and click on payment. But this time what we'll do, we'll try to receive it in an account. So maybe let's assume I told my customer, don't wire it to my bank account, but pay me via PayPal, right? So I'll go ahead and choose PayPal here. So when we choose PayPal, we know there's no conversion, right? Because we sent the invoice in USD, our PayPal account is also in USD, so we just get $100. I'm leaving out any cases where there may be some processing fees, just to focus on multi-currency accounting. I'm saying I'm receiving the full 100 US dollars. So let me go. So as you can see, even though there's an exchange rate field, it really has it doesn't have a lot of significance here because the receivable is $100. I am receiving $100. So let's go ahead and save this. Save this, and now I'll submit this. Cool. So at this stage, we are assuming there is no exchange rate gain or loss involved here because invoice was in $100. I received $100. So basically, no exchange rate doesn't have any significance. Okay, and you will see there is no exchange rate gain loss ledger involved here. Okay, so now here's an important thing. I have received $100 into my PayPal account, and I'm assuming whatever the exchange rate has gone up or down, it has no impact on me as of now. But at the end of the month, I need to kind of need to report my numbers. How much money do I have in the bank balance? Some I have in INR, some I have in USD. I need to convert from USD to INR, then show a consolidated number in terms of INR. So what we need to do is we can't assume the same exchange rate still holds because we know exchange rate changes every day. So if I go to my chart of accounts and I expand, right, or maybe let me current assets, bank receivable. Okay, I received my amount already. So you will see that in chart of accounts, whenever there's a ledger that has a different currency, that's the company currency, you will see this. If you can look at on the right side, it says $100 slash 7,550 rupees because we have valued it at that. Any ledger with a different currency, you will see such values in the first in the ledger currency or the account currency, and then in the company currency. But now let us assume that the entire month has passed, and now those $100 are valued at 8,000 rupees. Okay, so this is called as exchange rate revaluation. Typically, it is done on the last day of the accounting period, mostly of the quarter, maybe some in some companies a month. So what we need to do now, even though we have $100 in my PayPal account, and now I need to value it at 8,000 rupees because the value of the dollar is now 80 rupees. So for this, we go to exchange rate revaluation. I'll put the date as 30th. I'll click on get entries. What does it say? I should technically be able to revalue even my account here. Maybe I did not link it to bank. Okay, let me do one thing quickly. I'll go to sales invoice. I will duplicate this. Date is that. Maybe now I'll still be able to receive this. June, maybe because the invoices are as of today. Let me try to create one more invoice. So I'm just trying to create an invoice as of a previous date. Let's say 75. Okay, there seems to be some validation that picks only the previous invoices. I think so. I'll check that. So now we have basically seen. Okay, we raised an invoice some time back. That time one USD meant 75.50. Now I'll basically say this is valued at 80 rupees. So in the exchange rate revaluation, I can basically supply a new exchange rate, and then ERPNext will calculate. Now it will say, okay, the $100. Maybe there's $200, I guess, because we raised two invoices, and now that is valued at 16,000 rupees, and this is the total gain or loss. So I'll go ahead and save, and now I'll go ahead and submit this. Once I click on this, I get this option called journal entry under create. I'll click on this. I also need to do one more thing in the company under default values. I think I need to supply, yeah, this one, exchange gain loss. Go back. Let me just reload. So when we actually set up, I started from a fresh Frappe Cloud account today. When we do that, we need to review the default account set in company, and whatever is not there, we need to supply. I'll go ahead and do it now. Save this. Maybe I can go back now, and this is exchange rate revaluation and journal entry. Yeah. So you can see now that I showed you two cases. In the first one, I created a sales invoice. I received my payment in a local currency, and we dealt with whatever is the exchange gain loss right then and there in the payment entry. In the second case, I created an invoice. I received my payment into PayPal account, so we did not have to deal with exchange rate gain or loss. But end of the quarter, we need to come back to exchange rate revaluation, and then we need to post this. So that is when we'll recognize any gain or loss. So let me go ahead. And one more thing, there's a checkbox called as multi-currency in the journal entry. Only if you check this, the ledgers which have a different currency other than the company currency will show up here. I know one client was trying to post a journal entry, but they were simply not, they were not able to select a foreign currency ledger here. So you need to check this multi-currency checkbox here. So now let me try to go ahead and save and submit this. So these are the two cases. I know it's a lot to cover in a short period of time. Maybe you can go through this blog point by point and kind of.
Sir, let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
That you showed that in the chart of accounts that we are creating 2, 3 like USD, Euro, and INR.
Correct.
Okay. So when we are checking the balance sheet, the debtor side will be showing these customers under this. Which currency it will be showing? It will be in the company currency itself for.
Yeah, okay, this is another, this is actually my next point. So as you can see here, multi-currency in reports. Like I showed you in chart of account, it shows in both. In the balance sheet, profit loss account, accounts receivable, payable, numbers are shown in the company currency by default. Okay, it shows it in the company currency. However, if you see accounts receivable and accounts payable, right? Let me go to these two reports, accounts receivable. Now we can basically see that it's all in the company currency, INR. But if I select a specific customer, for example, here Extreme Inc., now I can basically see it in USD. Okay, because we know the reason for this is we know now that for a given customer, we will only be invoicing in a specific currency, right? So when we filter the entries for one specific customer, it will go to that customer, it will go to the receivable, and it will check for the currency, and then it will basically show it in that.
But in the balance sheet, it will be showing in the company currency, right?
Correct. So if I go to the balance sheet,
That's clear.
yeah, I have, so you can see it's all in INR, because when we look at the balance sheet, we need to have one number in the company currency. So the another important thing is there is a currency field here in the balance sheet as well. Okay, I can actually choose USD, but to the best of my knowledge, this is just indicative. Okay, it doesn't actually go. For example, we will have more liability as well as and when we post transactions. They have nothing to do with USD. So what it is doing is basically when if you go to balance sheet, you choose a non-company currency. It will try to find the real-time exchange rate, apply some formula, and show it to you here. But these numbers are not to be given to your auditor or to the government. These are just for maybe you have somebody in a different company and they want to see it in local currency just to get some idea. So you can actually see it in USD in balance sheet, but don't go by these numbers. They keep changing. They're kind of real time. Cool. So this is about reports. I already covered exchange rate revaluation. Okay, now when I was preparing, I think somebody needs to go on mute, please. Um, so the way ERPNext used to handle multi-currency until the point is slightly different than how it is now. Earlier, we could actually create uh, invoices to one customer in INR, in USD, in Euro, because it was only handled at the invoice level, not at the GL level. But now there's a with version 13.31.0, there is a validation which actually prevents you from raising an invoice in a different currency. So you'll have to create a new customer record. Even if in real world it's just one customer, and for whatever reason you have sent them invoices in INR and now they demand it in USD, you still have to create two different customer records. You will see that somewhere I mentioned that. Cool. So have a look at this release note. And to conclude, we have seen it was really fast. If you don't know basics of accounting, maybe you did not learn a lot, but still, I think if you have learned a couple of things, that's still good. So to conclude, ERPNext allows you to set the currency at the company, at the individual ledger, at the customer and supplier master. It offers integration with third-party apps. We have seen there are two, and from version 14 that will be configurable. It allows you to create invoices, both sales and purchase invoices in foreign currencies. It allows balances to be maintained in foreign currency. We saw, we just created a PayPal account and we saw some balances there. It allows you to view reports in different currencies. There are two cases here. If you go to accounts payable or receivable and you filter by a specific customer, the report is shown in the foreign currency, but by default it is shown in your company currency. Balance sheet P&L also have an option to view in different currency, but they are based on the current exchange rate. So don't go by those numbers. They are just an approximation because the exchange rate keeps changing. Then we also seen that I don't know why I couldn't get an option to revalue my PayPal account balance. But I then created another invoice with the previous date, and I was able to revalue, the balance with the new exchange rate. So that's an overview of multi-currency accounting in ERPNext. It's a lot to take in, but go ahead and read this blog. So every single point I have explained in this video is documented there. So if you learn all of those, I think you will have a good overview of accounting, multi-currency accounting in ERPNext.